seen the little biggies crawling in the dirt. And for all the little piggies, life is getting worse. Always having dirt to play around.
Greetings YouTube, this is the Garage Autonomist. In a previous video, I asked the question, what was the role of the police, or rather, did we need them? This time around, I'm going to be talking about the history of the police. Now, in the low bar, I will provide a few links. One is David Whitehouse's blog posting titled Origins of the Police. I think I've done this in the previous video, but I'm going to provide the link again. I'm also going to provide again the info shop link to the COPS portal. I will also provide an excellent link to a slide share by Mr. Metter, and that is titled Cops Class Race, a Marxist Perspective. Prior to the 1800s, there wasn't a police force per se. You had sheriffs, marshals, deputized lawmen who dealt with keeping the peace and upholding laws of a given town in most of the United States. What passed for the law also looked different depending on which part of the United States you're talking about. In the North, in the Wild West, the sheriff and bands of deputized men who aided him. In the South, you had the slave patrols, organized groups of white men patrolling rivers and borders to prevent escaped slaves from getting into the North, and also used to keep the slaves in line. During the Civil War, slave patrols increased, and after the Civil War, slave patrols went on a steady increase in case there would be an attack or retaliation of the just freed population. This went on during the post-Reconstruction period. However, the true police force, as we know it today, began to develop as class struggle developed. As industrialized cities grew and became populated with workers, either immigrants or migrants, and as mines were established in countrysides of the Western world, the ruling class controlling municipal governments hired thousands of armed men to impose order on working class people as they in turn began to fight for wages, better work conditions, and against the oppressive culture of wage slavery. Quoting Noam Chomsky, "Well, there's always a class war going on. The United States, to an unusual extent, is a business-run society, more so than others. The business classes are very class-conscious. They're constantly fighting a bitter class war to improve their power and diminish opposition. Occasionally, this is recognized. The enormous benefits given to the very wealthy, the privileges for the very wealthy here are way beyond those of other comparable societies and are part of the ongoing class war. Take a look at CEO salaries." Noam Chomsky in Occupy, Class War, Rebellion, and Solidarity, November 5th, 2013. So when I say that the true role of the police is about protecting property and keeping order, it is based on this historical fact of the police force's evolution. We, the general populace, did not create them. The rulers did, and in doing so, by design, it is the rich who have created their watchmen, their patrolmen, to protect them and their interests. This is not about individuals and why they say they put on a badge, or the broodmare wives' appreciation of their badge-wearing earners, or cops that rescue kittens from trees. When we talk about the role of the police, we are talking about what they do in a social and historical context. They do not prevent crime. Most crimes are committed with the police being only a phone call away after the fact. And of course, they'll only get there in a certain time frame depending on the neighborhood that the crime was committed in. So we need to keep in mind that as the capitalist crisis deepens, we are going to find ourselves in an increased conflict with the police. And in the back of your mind, as you begin to see people who are peacefully protesting and they're getting sprayed in the face with pepper spray You have to ask yourself the question, who are the police, friend or foe? I think you will know the answer. And the reason why one would find themselves asking this question, friend or foe, is our entire lives being inundated and indoctrinated under cop culture, the belief that the police are our friends when indeed they are only a friend to one group of people in this entire society, that is the 1%, i.e. the ruling class. And even then, cops are not their friends. They are simply their servants and our enemies. This is the Garage Autonomist.